Commanding General Yohana will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle. Finally, the truth about King James, a black man who helped to preserve and safeguard the Bible. Live September 29th, 2023. Commanding General Yohana live at King James Castle in Scotland. Come on down and support the ISUPK UK. Lift the glass, come and join the brotherhood and drink with the ancient as we celebrate and keep the Feast of Tabernacles for our King Yahushua in King James Castle, bringing his crew of heavy hitters. Commanding General Yohana will put 12 shield General Hyman scripture breakdown class up against anyone, against any biblical scholar, unchallenged, ISUPK, undefeated. Leviticus chapter 23, the Feast of Tabernacles, in a black man's castle, hosted in Scotland, the United Kingdom, UK. Commanding General Yohana will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle, Thursday, September 28th, scripture breakdown class. Friday, September 29th, there will be a King James Castle tour, also a Johnny Walker distillery tour, and Friday night, the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles. Saturday, September 30th, we will have camp on the streets of England. Sunday, October 1st, the UK Cookout. Monday, October 2nd, the Warwickshire Castle Tour. ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana at King James Castle in England. This is an absolutely monumental, historical event.
Stop. Man, don't we deserve a shot? Don't we deserve a shot to be the Lord's people? Israel, let's do it!
ISUPK presents As Ye the Prophets weekly podcast.
Every race in the movie.
We are not the trusted. We are not the trusted. Trusted. We are not the trusted.
Send in your questions to Ask Ye the Prophets at G.
In Chicago, man. I want to give a double shout out to all the brothers down there that support Cap Mawaquad and roll with him, man. Y'all doing excellent work in this nation, man. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. I will be there tomorrow. We appreciate all of you. So today I want to get into, man, something that blew my mind, but it didn't blow my mind. You understand? Things that our oppressor in America does is dastardly and blatantly evil. And he does it anyway because he knows it is evil, because he knows most of this country supports the evil that he does. And these politicians know, and you know, all these the people with power, they all understand that they can be racist. You understand? Because it's not, they're not going to lose no support in America, because the majority of America is racist. I've been telling y'all for years the South going to rise again, and now the South is taking over, man. If they haven't already taken over, they got a little opposition, by the so-called good white folk, the ones who don't want to be so blatantly evil to slaves. They want to use the slaves in another way called employment and different tactics to get rich. They still want to get rich off the slaves, but they don't want to do it the way the South likes to do it. But the South is rising up and challenging them in every step of politics, man. And y'all put Barack Obama in as president, it pissed America off, man. It pissed America off, and they showed you how pissed off they was by getting Donald Trump up in there. And we're going to go into a little bit of that later. You understand? But right now, we're going to get into this utterly. First, give me some ones. If y'all can hear me good, it's like I'm talking, and I got to make sure my people can hear me. Give me some ones if the audio is good, if the audio is fine. Shalom, Sister Amana the Baf. Shalom, Panayana. Shalom, Yagadar. Shalom, Abishai. Princess Shakara. Give me some ones. Give me some ones if the audio is good, if we good to go. Thawada. All right, we good to go, my man. Shout out to Officer Imawan. So this utterly ridiculous notion that America is pushing now, saying that the slaves benefited from slavery. It is ridiculous. Shout out to West Philly for life. It is utterly ridiculous, man. The slave, like we benefited from slavery, huh? Like in Florida. And Ron DeSantis, whatever the hell his name is, he pushing it real strong. He think he can beat Trump by being more racist than Trump. But white people are saying they really don't like him because he ain't as charismatic as Trump. You know what I'm saying? He ain't as, he's not a likable person. So his numbers is low in the polls. Trump's still beating everybody because although a lot of them can't stand him, a lot of them, wish they can go another route. Most of America love Trump and all his racism and all his history. They love it. Rob DeSantis. Is it Rob or Ron? I think it's Ron DeSantis, West Philly. Ron DeSantis. So, they passed some law, them that saying that slaves got personal benefits from slavery. You understand? Let me go to that article real quick, and then we're going to get into it. Let me see. Let me first share this so you can see the article. Bear with me. Check this out. All right, y'all see it? Let me put me on here, small screen. All right. So now, it says Florida middle schoolers will now be taught that slavery had personal benefits for enslaved people. Well, I never heard that from my grandmothers and grandfathers passing the history down from slavery and reading the accounts of slaves that was actually recorded. I never heard about how they were happy and smiling and benefited from slavery. I missed that part. You understand? Reading on. I'm gonna skip that. It says new academic standards slam as a big step backwards. So a lot of people is mad because of this, saying we going backwards. We going backwards, man. America's going forward. They want to be the good old boy, big bubba America that they used to be. You understand? Will require teachers to instruct that enslaved people develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. Meaning slavery gave us a trade. You know what I'm saying? Slavery taught us a trade, man. And it was good for us. You understand? It was good for us. Let me read. Newly approved academic standards. Now, this has been approved already. Newly approved academic standards from Florida's Board of Education will require middle schools to teach that enslaved people, slaves, our ancestors, not too long ago, we only about 3-4 generations away, that enslaved people develop skills which could be applied for their personal benefit, a line that has ignited significant controversy among teachers groups. Because a lot of teachers, they like to teach the truth, some of them. Some of them like to teach the truth, but that is not the agenda of America, man. The South, like they did back then, after the Civil War, The South was mad that they lost. You had whole organizations of white women also. I forget they was called the Sisters of the Confederacy, and a lot of them were teachers. And they did this back then, start teaching the Confederates, start teaching the South and how slavery was good and how slavery wasn't bad and how they wasn't bad to us, mean to us during slavery. This is just history in America repeating itself. You understand? They were teaching this back in after the Civil War. They were getting together to do this. White women were pioneering it because the men were still hurting from that ass whipping that the North gave them. And mind you, the North didn't fight the South because they wanted slaves free and that they loved slaves. They just knew how to be more professional with slavery and still get that same money. You understand? So it says, which stated, okay, the standards which were approved Wednesday came in response to the state's 2022 Stop Woke Act, which stated that race must be taught in an objective manner that does not indoctrinate or persuade students of to a particular point of view. Now, they want, when we talk about race in school, they don't want you teaching it in a this was wrong, that was wrong type of way. They want you to be objective. It happened, this happened, so it could have been good or bad. We don't know. We weren't there. That's the stance they taking. So anything you teach is clearly wrong in front of everybody. They don't want you teaching that. They only want you teaching the things that could be good or bad. Why? Because they don't want their white babies feeling bad. They don't want their little white boys and white girls saying, look what my people did. We are horrible. We are a horrible race of people. They don't want that. That's what they're afraid of. Because the greatest threat to America is white Americans. The greatest threat to white America is white Americans. Stats prove that. Studies show that. So they don't want to indoctrinate or persuade the students, white students, to a particular point of view. The measure pushed far-right lawmakers' rhetoric that teaching Black history makes white people feel ashamed. Really? Really? It makes white people feel ashamed. Meanwhile, what you teach about Blacks and Hispanics, you don't think that make us feel ashamed? What actually happened, and you lying about it, you don't think that makes us feel ashamed? So they don't want white people to feel ashamed. If Black people feel ashamed, it happens. Sorry for the blackface. Sorry for calling you niggas on national TV. I know I'm in the Senate. I know I'm a governor. Sorry for being so racist on national TV. I apologize for whoever I offended. And then they go on to make their millions and pass laws that hate us. You understand? But they don't want their white babies to feel ashamed. White people can't feel ashamed. You understand? Instructing that no student, no white student, of course, should be made to feel guilt or responsibility. They don't want to even be held accountable. When God said in the Bible, He gonna punish the children for what their fathers did. Because why? The children are living large and benefiting off of all of the blood that their fathers shed, man. And they ain't giving it back. They saying, I know my father's murdered all of you to get all this, and I got it now. I didn't do it, but I'm gonna keep all this, and you still gonna stay in the gutter and die. You understand? They are going to be held accountable. You understand? If I stole something and gave it to one of my brothers and I get caught, and then they catch my brother who I gave the TV to, he didn't steal the TV, but they're going to throw him in jail for an accomplice. They're going to throw him in jail for being my accomplice, receiving stolen goods. And white people of 2023, you are responsible for receiving stolen goods. You are accomplices to what your fathers did. That's why God is so just. The Most High God of Israel, He's so just when He said He's going to punish the children, man, in the book of Isaiah for the crimes of their fathers. That's justice and that's righteousness, man. It says, according to the new education guidelines, middle school teachers must now teach students about the various duties and trades performed by slaves Example, agricultural work, painting, carpentry, tailoring, domestic service, blacksmithing, transportation. A benchmark classification listed in the standards includes the note that teachers should also instruct that enslaved people develop skills, in some instances for their personal benefits. Well, wait a minute. I didn't know slavery was so wonderful. Well, why the hell our ancestors tried so hard to escape? Why was we always goddamn escaping? Knowing that the dogs are going to chase us. If they caught us, we was going to get murdered or beat to death. But it ain't stop us from trying to escape. Because I don't think the slaves felt like slavery was a good thing. I don't think the slaves felt like slavery was goddamn a school of skills, a trade school. I don't think they felt that way. I think they hated slavery. And I think they hated the people who had them in slavery. And I think they wanted to escape and get away. And a lot of them felt as though death was better than serving under these people, man. And accepting their cruelty. We develop skills. I'm going to prove that that's a lie in 2 seconds. Excuse me. You understand? And listen, I wonder what other skills we learned from slavery, since it was so wonderful. Since it was just a wonderful trade school. I wonder what other trades and skills we learned from trade school. I wonder what it was. You understand? I wonder was getting raped repeatedly. Getting raped repeatedly. Was that something? Did we learn a good skill from that? Excuse me. Did we learn a good skill from getting raped repeatedly? Sometimes getting raped to death. And yes, our women were raped. Our men were raped. Our daughters were raped. Our little sons were raped, man. They raped everybody during slavery because the white man is a lust-filled, nasty degenerate. You understand? That's just the truth. That's just the truth. I wonder what skill we learned from all the lynchings. From all the lynchings, I wonder what skill we learned. You understand? I wonder what skill we learned from being whipped to death. Being whipped to death. And then forcing the slaves to whoop the other slaves from threat of death. I wonder what skill we learned from that. What skill did we learn from getting beat to death by these slave masters, getting lied on by the slave master's woman so they could lynch us in the lynch mobs while she lied. Karens were back then also. Karens crying falsely and lying. They were back then also. I wonder what skill we learned from being out in the hot ass sun, picking cotton and doing everything else, working us to death till we just dropped dead. What skill was that? You understand? What skill did we get from being maimed and mutilated, man? Maimed and mutilated. What skill did we learn getting fed to alligators? Being drowned. You understand? Just some of the horrible things that happened to us during slavery. Set on fire, being tarred and feathered and ripped apart. You understand? Our pregnant women, bellies being ripped open for sport. For sport. Having other animals sewn inside of the belly. Seeing how fast they would claw their way out. You understand? I wonder what trade did we learn from that? You understand? Making men fight each other. Making our brothers fight each other for their entertainment. For their entertainment. Having us beat each other to death. For fear of a worse punishment if we didn't win the fight. You understand? I wonder what skills we got from that. You understand? Our oppressor in America is the devil. Is the almighty devil. And that's according to the Bible. You understand? Hell, if it was like going to trade school, hell, once again, why were the slaves always trying to escape? Why were they trying to escape to where you got to cut their feet off to try to stop them from escaping? And they still try to escape on their ankles and knees. They still trying to crawl out of here, man, hoping maybe you'd kill them. because death was better than learning what you wanted to learn during slavery, which is how to die. Which is how to die. Let me read some more of this article, man. The article is horrible. Salaki, let me get it back up. All right, reading on. It says, another guideline directs teachers to instruct high schoolers about acts of violence perpetrated against and by African Americans. So they want to educate the high school kids saying, you see, the slaves was fighting each other. The Africans were fighting each other. When the slaves that were in Africa and that were put on the slave ships in America and brought over here to the Americas as slaves, they were not Africans. They were not Africans, and I'll show you that in a minute also. But they want the high school students to be taught that the slaves were fighting each other. A lot of acts of violence were committed by them against them. When teaching about the rebuilding of Black communities during Reconstruction. Let me see. Let me scroll down. According to the Florida Education Association, a statewide teachers union, several organizations and individuals spoke in opposition to the proposed standards in a public hearing Wednesday and asked the board to table the standards until they could be revised. But when public comment ended, the board voted to adopt them. Why? Because the Klan is over the board. The Klan is running America, man. The South then rose up, and they are in your government now, taking over America. In a press release sent immediately after the standards were adopted, the FEA called them a big step backwards. Those are the ones who want to be professional slaves and not be so blatant to the slaves. But most of America, they tired of hiding it, man. Trump showed them the way. They ready to let it out, man, and they showing you. That's why you got more Karens than ever lately. That's why you got a bunch of incidents lately, man. I just saw a video where a white teacher was pushing her Black students. And listen, it must not have been the first time, because one of the brothers, the young students, knew that she might smack him. She must have done it in the past or done it to other students, because he was gearing up and had his hand back in case she smacked him. And lo and behold, she pushed a female that was next to him, went up to him and smacked this young brother in the face. And this brother, like I said, was prepared. He smacked the donkey white cheddar cheese out of this female white teacher, man. And she fell out. Bah! And then an Edomite, I believe he was a teacher. He had a beard. He didn't look like no student. He jumped up and ran over to try to grab the brother. And that brother gave him a young whooping, that ass whooping too. The Lord was with that brother by whooping that, smacking the hell out of that teacher, that female Karen, and that Edomite man that tried to attack him afterward, man. Like, they getting so goddamn bold, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, man. Reading on. Let me see. So the FEA also noted that the new standards require students to be taught to identify famous African Americans, including Rosa Parks and George Washington Carver, the same old Black people you hear about every February. Every February for 28 days, you hear about, Rosa Parks wouldn't give up a seat. George Washington Carver invented the peanut. Man, there's a book, I think it's called, it's probably several of them, but I think one is called African Americans Invented Everything. Something like that. And we invented everything. We invented everything. And I was just watching a documentary where Black people after slavery start joining the military, and they end up giving Esau, our oppressor, their oppressors, the victory over their enemies in damn near every little small war, man. Every war. Black people played a big part, a major part, in white people expanding west and taking over America from Gadites. They played a big part in all the little wars, the civil wars and whatnot. They played a big part in those things. Reading on, uh, evidently, in an attempt to protect students from wokeness, these new standards will make sure that through the fourth grade, elementary school students' knowledge of African American history doesn't extend beyond being able to know who a famous African American is when they see them. So that's all. We just limit it to that. It doesn't go past that. We can't learn about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and when white people killed, they say a recorded 300, but it was actually the upwards of 3,000 black people who was chased out of a thriving black neighborhood down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black movie theaters, hospitals, bus systems, businesses, barbershops, all type of businesses, man, clothing stores. We was dressed, man, hats and fedoras, and had our own cars. We had car dealers. A 34 square block neighborhood of black enterprise in Tulsa, Oklahoma, made white people jealous. And when white people feel like they're not better than you, they plot a way to murder you and destroy you. They end up using some racial incident that they most likely made up, and they end up chasing all them black peoples out of the neighborhood, murdered and killed over 3,000 of them. Took their burned down all the businesses, all the black businesses and shops, burned them down. And the ones that was able to run, they ran for their life and got the hell out of there. You understand? Until this day, they haven't done anything about those people. You think the government don't know who was involved in the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre? A lot of them were police. Even after the massacre, black people were saying the police was threatening black people to shut their goddamn mouth. If they witnessed or knew anything, they better shut their mouth. So the police was in on it. The lawyers, the judges, the city officials, they were all in on it. The governors in other states, man, they were all in on it. They knew about it. Nothing happened in America where this government don't know about it. They knew about it. You understand? In the future, should College Board be willing to come back to the table with lawful, historically accurate content, FDOE will always be willing to reopen the discussion. Read the letters which were sent to the College Board from the Florida Department of Education Office of Articulation. According to Time, the course covered more than 400 years of African American black people, not indigenous Africans, but those Jews that went into Africa. Those are the African Americans. History, and is the College Board's first new offering. Let me go down. Reshape education. Ron DeSantis has dominated headlines since assuming the office of governor, like I mentioned earlier. Perhaps the most controversial of DeSantis' moves governing education has been his vocal support of the so-called Don't Say Gay law, the Parents' Rights in Education bill. And of course, that's, them fighting, Trump was against homosexuality, which homosexuality is an evil thing, but that don't make them righteous because they're against homosexuality. A lot of them are homosexuals anyway. You understand? The Parent Rights in Education bill, which first took effect last July, has since expanded, blocks the discussion of certain LGBTQ. So they controlling education right now. The South has risen up, aka the Klan has risen up, and they control what books go into the libraries. They control what books go into the schools, and they control what's taught in our schools now. And it's expanding. It's expanding. They control all of that. You understand? And they ain't scared to be racist no more. They're not scared to be racist anymore. You understand? Let me go down. And so now I got a question for our oppressor. You understand? Since slavery and oppression is good for slaves, right? to treat people like that, inhumane, you understand, make them work against their will, force them to do things against their will, there's actually an upside to it for them slaves. You understand? They learn things. Well, you know, what about the Germans? What in this article it said again, it says no student should be made to feel guilt or responsibility. Y'all remember I just read that, right? For actions previously committed by members of the same race. So in other words, they don't think they should have to feel bad or pay or feel in any way blamable for what their fathers and grandfathers did. They don't feel like they should be blamed in any way. Well, tell that to the Germans, who till this day are paying. You're making them pay for what they did to Jewish people, for what they did to Jewish people. You understand? People of the same race. And I know a lot of people ignorantly believe Jewish people aren't white people, but Jewish people are white people. They're damn near from the same family as the Germans, Ashkenazi Jews. You understand? Jewish people, they descend from a German, Polish, Slavic, Russian, Sweden culture. You understand? All those cultures, Kazakhstan and all that. That's why Ukraine got so many Jewish people there, because Ukraine is Russia. It's literally part of Russia. That after the wars, they made Russia a breakup and signed documents saying that you know, we give this part of the land up. But they didn't want to do that, but they lost the war. What else they could do? What else could they do? So now Russia got a little power under his belt. He want them lands back. And that's why Putin went up in Ukraine, to take his land back that belongs to him, especially when they see America and NATO creeping up all around them and surrounding them. They can't have that. It don't make sense. You're right, West Philly for life, Yiddish. That's where that language Yiddish come from. That Hebrew, so-called, that they speak is Yiddish. And it comes from all them different dialects, all them people I just named a second ago. You understand? How come the Germans are still paying for what they did to Jewish people? They're paying for the Holocaust. You understand? America sends Israel billions of dollars every year in support, billions of dollars of welfare. It's welfare that they give Israel just in support because of what happened to them in the Holocaust. You understand? They still make Germany still pays Israel, if not millions, billions of dollars, still apologizing for what they did. So if you really believe you can't make a race of people feel bad or guilty for what other people in their race have done, leave the Germans alone. But you won't do that because you're a bunch of hypocrites. And you know that it's only right to seek justice from the benefactors of slavery and oppression, because the ones that did it ain't here no more. The hell, we gonna dig up the graves? But no, you a millionaire because of the blood that's shed by your fathers. You're getting drunk, you're getting high, you're rich as hell, you're running the government, you're skateboarding, bungee jumping, you're running law firms, you're going to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. You're able to be rich and live good in this kingdom because of bloody fathers, man. So somebody got to pay for that. It's not like it didn't happen. It did happen. And we're the children of the people they murdered and robbed. You understand? So you're sitting on our land. You're holding on to our riches. And that's why God said in the Bible, He's going to see to it that we get it all back. We're going to get it all back. That's money in the bank. You ain't got to worry about nothing. We're getting it all back. Let me show you something. Black people had skills, right? Way before America now. First, let me show you this book. All right. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me see where it is. I think it's here. Go here first. Let me show you this book. Most of y'all familiar with this book, right? Babylon the Timbuktu. It's a real good book written by Rudolph Windsor. I'm gonna get into the history first. I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start from slavery, and I'm gonna go backwards. What they call that? Reverse engineering. I'm gonna reverse engineer slavery. First and foremost, give me a second. Again, I ain't so fast with this, all this technology, but it's very important. All right, it's very important. Y'all see this, right? In this book, Babylon the Timbuktu, Rudolph Windsor says this on page 84. On page 84, Rudolph Windsor said, in the year 65 BC, before Christ, before his birth, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. So in Jerusalem, the real Jews, who we're going to show you were black people, they were captured by the Roman armies. That's why during the time of Christ, when he finally was born, about 65 years later, the Romans were in charge. So they captured Jerusalem and were over oppressing us in Jerusalem before Christ was born. Just like we live in here in America, and our oppressor, the little brother to the Romans, Americans, they oppress us over here in America. So it said in 70 AD, about 40 years after the death of Christ. Christ died at about the age of 33, roundabout. So in 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. Why were they slaughtering and murdering Israelites? Why did they come down on our communities and our culture in Israel and with murder and mayhem? Because Christ, when he was alive, y'all read the books, right? Mark, Luke, John, you understand? Matthew, Paul, Titus, all them brothers, they taught about Christ. They taught about Christ. And I got a book called Medieval Europe that tells you Jesus Christ was on a mission. It said he was a fanatic, disrupting the well-established order of things in Rome by teaching that black people going to get a kingdom, that God loves you, that Rome going to fall. He taught that. You understand? That's why they murdered him. That's why they murdered him. He was angering, he was teaching a doctrine against white Rome. And black people in Rome, black leaders included, hated him for it. Why? Because they was making Massa mad. It was making Massa angry. They was rocking the boat. And our people, our black leaders back then, just like black leaders today, they get paid real nice. They get paid real nice by the oppressor. They get paid real nice by the oppressor for supporting the oppressor. And they supported him back then so much that they were seeking the death of Jesus Christ because he taught the downfall of our oppressors. With great slaughter, murdered us, even back then. So them oppressing and murdering us is nothing new. And it's going to clear up who it's talking about. During the period of the military governors, and this is page 84, of Palestine. This is when we occupied Palestine. This is when we occupied Jerusalem, our grandmothers and grandfathers, before we went into Africa, before we ran into Africa, before they got us from Africa and put us on slave ships, and before we came to the Americas where they taught us skills, where their oppression and slavery taught us skills and labor skills and whatnot. Well, let's see. It said during the period that Rome sent his military governors and rulers against us, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, these were leaders in Rome, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Why? Because the white man was killing us in Israel and in Palestine and in our motherland. And so we had to run from them. Why did we run into Africa? First of all, you ain't going to never read no history where Jewish people the Ashkenazi, German, Polish, Russian Jews fled as an entire race into Africa, running from Roman persecution. That ain't never happened. But black people, the African Americans, quote unquote, they did run into Africa, running from white Roman persecution, trying to hide and blend in with other people that had dark skin like us. The only problem was those people with dark skin like us, they still knew that we wasn't the same as them. Africans knew that the Jews that fled into Africa were not African. So they didn't treat us kind either. They were very harmful to us also. And so we kept to ourselves and built amongst ourselves and tried to keep our culture the best we could. Over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, reading on, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. And slavery. They were trying to make us slaves before we even got into Africa. We ran into Africa trying not to be a slave. Reading on. The slave markets. Y'all know the slave ships, right? From Africa to America, the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. What is that saying? That those people that was taken from the west coast of Africa, you understand, by help of the real Africans, because white people couldn't have did it on their own. They had help from the indigenous Africans and the Arabs that were around Africa. They helped them. They helped give us to Africa, to the white man who put us on ships and brought us over here for slave labor. Those people that were on the slave ships, those were Jews. Those were Jews, aka Israelites. There were no Muslims on the slave ships going into slavery. There weren't any Baptists on the slave ships going into slavery. They weren't any non-denominational, no Catholics going into slavery. There wasn't the conscious community on those slave ships going into slavery. Those were black Jews. Those were Israelites on the slave ships going into slavery. Now, I show you that before we got here, you know, where we came from. We ran from Israel and Palestine into Africa before they loaded us on ships and brought us over here for slavery, where they say we learned trades and skills and were happy slaves and slavery was good for us. Well, let's see. Let's see. Let's go to another page in that same book. That same book, Babylon to Timbuktu. Let's get another page in there. Let me see where we at. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. Let's get into this. You understand? So I'm going to read this. Salaki, forgive me. I'm going to read this now. It says, this is page 90 in Babylon to Timbuktu. This is during the time when we fled into Africa. We lived there. We was in Africa about 1,500 years before the Arabs and the Africans plotted with our white oppressor and loaded us on slave ships. During those 1,500 years, we was in there flourishing, man. Kept to ourselves, just like when we was in Egypt. We were in Goshen, kept to ourselves, and we were prosperous in Goshen. Listen, if the oppressor would just leave blacks and Hispanics alone, we would excel way more than them. And they know it. They know it. They didn't see in our history. They didn't studied us, man. They know all they got to do. They ain't even got to help us, really. The hell with their reparations. If they just backed the hell up and left us alone, we would flourish. So they on purpose tell the police they got to constantly terrorize us and attack us. They have to constantly keep us in jail and try to get us on paper at a young age so we can have records, so we can have warrants. They have to, on purpose and knowingly make employment hard for us, make going and getting an education hard for us, while flooding our neighborhood with drugs. So that the only option we got if we want to eat something is to sell drugs in most cases or do some kind of crime. Crime, they openly push in our neighborhoods. They control that too, but make no mistake. The biggest drug dealers, in your hoods work for the police. You best believe. I don't care how tough you think they are. I don't care how much not snitching, how much they hate the police. Them niggas would not be the big drug dealers if the police didn't let them. You understand? That's how it works in America. Your biggest drug dealers who become your biggest rappers and the biggest this, you understand? They was able to get there because they were working for police. They were working for police, called COINTELPRO. You understand? Any black group, any black culture, anything black, they got people up in there running the whole thing. Reporting it back and forth, who's doing what, how they doing it. Why? So they can keep control. So they can keep control. That's what's going on with them purple homos and IUIC. COINTELPRO controls that group, controls their leader, and they do counterintelligence, man. We just got the report. They do counterintelligence. They feed them what they're supposed to teach, where their doctrine comes from. That's what was happening with Tazadakia and the candy canes. Called himself the Holy Spirit, changed the doctrine that they was taught in the beginning. Why? That's called counterintelligence. That's what this government feeds different groups, you understand, to amass a lot of people and members to steer them away from the living God, man. Steer them away from the living God. But when we was in Africa, those 1,000+ years, running from white racists in Rome who hated us, who hated our ancestors, black people, that's why we had to run into Africa. When we were there, listen here, page 90. The black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes, showing you that even Rudolph Windsor, through his study, he was a scholar, through his study, understood that the African people were not the same as these black Jews just in Africa. He knew that, and all scholars know that. Historians know that. They just ain't supposed to say it out loud because it would offend the pretenders, all those people with the same last name, running Hollywood and banks and all that there, who you can't say nothing against them, or they got a black cloud over you called anti-Semitism. They'll label you as anti-Semitic, and you just got to shut your mouth. You can't even say nothing, truth or not. Just shut your mouth when it comes to them. So scholars know that the black Jews were in Africa. You understand? And black Jews are the only Jews. I got to tell you. Black Jews are the only Jews. They different shades of brown. But there's no such thing as a Caucasian or Edomite Jew. You understand? Esau, who is the father of all the white races, Russian, German, American, English, Spain, French, Italian, Polish, Sweden, Australian. All Caucasians are different families of a child in the Bible named Esau. Now, Esau had a brother in the Bible who God cut him off from, a brother named Jacob. Now, the Jews, the real Jews, the 12 tribes, we come from Jacob. And Esau, which is a whole nother race, God said he separated these two babies. They were brothers out of the same mother's womb, but God created two different nations with these two babies, meaning they were two different races by the power of God. And Esau is the father of Jewish people. And the real Jews are the children of Jacob. So there's no way that the children of Esau, white people, can be Jews who are the children of Jacob. You understand? So the black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes, of course. Of course. America claiming that they civilized us and taught us skill and made the slave a better person because he had skills after slavery. Well, let's see. This is way before slavery in America. This is after we ran from slavery in Rome and lived in Africa for a while. It said they carried their culture with their history, their laws, and written records with them. So we was reading, We were writing. We were teaching history. We were following and teaching our laws. We had our own culture and style and flavor. We had all of that, even while we were in Africa, showing you that when we were under the Romans in our homeland Israel, we had the same skills, man. We were still skilled in all these things. And so when we ran into Africa, obviously, we took our culture with us. We took all our intelligence with us. We had geniuses, man, skilled in everything. I'm about to show you. So we had our culture, history, laws, all of our written records. We know how to keep records, man. You understand? We knew how to keep records, man. We was good with finances. You understand? It said this assured them a constant precedent for the development of a higher social organization. A constant precedent meaning we set the standard. We set the standard. We showed and taught our people how to do this, how you run this nation. We would teach our sons. They would teach their sons. Why? So we could continue to develop a higher social organization. We was more intelligent than the Africans. We was more intelligent than the Arabs. We was more intelligent than those Romans that was chasing us. We were better people than them. The Bible said we above all people that are upon the face of the earth. We smarter than them. We more intuitive than them. We wiser than them. So why are we running from them? Why are we under the Africans? Why were they able to put us on slave ships? Because our God turned his back on us because of our disobedience. That's the only reason why these people were allowed to do this to us. And when our God turns his back on us, you know, the other nations, they see that it's open season and they become vile towards us and evil and murderous and oppressive. You understand? But while we was in Africa, we were a higher social organization. Reading on, because of the stability of the Black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed. We were so stable and strong in our culture, hell, because it goes way back to Jacob, way back to Abraham, way back to Terah, man. Abraham, way back to Adam, way back to Noah, way back to Adam, man. We had a culture of knowledge. Hell, our oppressor just finding out that the earth is round. Remember, once upon a time, they used to think that the earth was flat. When you read our records in the Torah, in the Bible, the Lord then told us, man, he said the circle of the earth. Way back in the Old Testament, thousands and thousands of years ago. Our God is science. He is mathematics. He is history. He is culture. And we got all that from our people, man. And even in Africa, we tried our best to keep the culture. We kept the culture and we were stable, more stable than Africans. You understand? And because of the stable, he said, because of the stability of the Black Jewish culture, the Jews were not absorbed into the autochthonous population, man. We wasn't absorbed. Autochthonous means indigenous, the people that lived in the land. We were in their land in Africa. You understand? When we fled to the west coast of Africa, when we fled in Africa and went through there, man, we were in their land. But we wasn't absorbed into their culture, the culture of the indigenous people. We didn't get absorbed into there. You understand? Because our culture and our government was so strong and our laws were so strong already, man. It said, in fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribe. In fact, a lot of them started learning from us. A lot of them started learning our history, man. We got the greatest history in the earth. We influence every man-made religion. But make no mistake, every man-made religion is of Satan, but it's influenced by our God in our history, the history of the real Jews, Black people. Christianity is based off of our culture, the Bible. Jewish people, Ashkenazi, German, Russian, Slavic, Jewish people, their whole religion, Judaism, is based off of our culture in the Torah. They try to steal it and say it's theirs and say that they're the people. Our culture makes them great. Even the Arabs, even Muhammad checked us out and said, you know what? That's wise. We gonna have one God, because the Arabs used to have a God for every day of the year. And the Arabs came down to one God. And then they wanted to have a Sabbath. And they wanted to follow Moses. So now they don't eat pork, they say. They ain't supposed to eat certain things because Moses said it. And they respect Moses. When Moses also said, don't eat shrimp, crab, and lobster, but you Arabs, you'll suck the juice out of a crab's ass. You understand? So they say they follow and obey, but they don't. They just pick and choose what they want, like all religions do. Like all religions do. So we even absorb some of the Africans, man. That's why you get later on, you got your Ethiopian Philistin Jews and Haile Selassie and all them. They try to read the Bible, tricked our brothers in the Caribbeans that they are the people of God. And a lot of them join that religion called Rastafarianism because it talk about the Most High and it talk about the Bible. But that's just another false man-made religion. You understand? We absorbed them. They did not absorb us. Reading on. The Jews made use of every opportunity. It said they were an industrious and skillful people. Wait a minute, Ron DeSantis. Wait a minute, Florida. Wait a minute, America. This is thousands of years before you put us on the slave ships and brought us here. And according to you, we learned many skills under the hands of white America. We learned to be blacksmiths and this and that and iron workers, and we learned this stuff in America. Well, according to history that I know you hate and you want to hide from the schools and the libraries, but it's just the truth. You ain't going to get away from history. According to history, the Jews were an industrious and skillful people way before you brought us to America for slavery. Way before that, Salakia. So we had skills way before you devils in England and America, and you Jewish people helped. You Jewish people helped put those black Jews on slave ships. But we had skills way before that, man. Way before that. It said in the Jewish Ghanaian states, meaning it's a state in Africa called Ghana, which Israelites lived around. It said they were found kings. They were found kings, and that's why they call it Jewish Ghanaian states, because Israelites had lived around Ghana also. And when they researched it, they found out that we had named brothers kings in there, man, because we was used to having a king. Israelites was used to having a king. There were kings there, which were the leaders, just the leaders. President, America has presidents. Another translation would be king, a leader. That's all. It said we had princes, even in Africa. We had governors. We had generals. So we had a fighting force. We had a rank system, a military. We had a full-out government. We had royalty. We had secretaries, it says. Treasurers. Treasurers, man. We knew how to handle money. We knew how to do the books and everything, man. Keep the records. Secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges. We had a whole justice system, man. We had a whole justice system, even when we were at our lowest living in Africa. We tried to keep our culture and have a righteous justice system. We had judges. We had architects. Now, in Ron DeSantis' article, it said we learned skills like painting and all type of mess. Man, we had artists way back then, architects, artists, engineers, doctors. We had doctors during our lowest point in Africa. We had doctors. historians. That's why we was able to keep the laws to the best. We tried, but when the Lord turned his back on you, man, Satan all up in there. It's hard. It's hard. But we had historians, we had language interpreters, mathematicians. Check that out. Mathematicians, man. We had scholars. Even at our lowest point in Africa, we had jewelers. We were still trying to be fly, even in Africa, man. While they had cow piss on them to keep the flies away, we understood was something they didn't know about. We understood what a bath was. We understood how water and soap gets the grime off you. You understand? And how we put good stuff on us to smell good called oils and colognes and perfumes. We understood all that. While they was building mud huts and putting piss on themselves and walking around naked all throughout Africa. That was not us. We were not the Africans. We were these black Jews who kept our culture even at our lowest point in Africa, man. We had jewelers, we had sculptors, we had masons who were builders. We built houses and homes and roads. We had engineers. We read up earlier. You understand? We had engineers and architects. So we surely could put together a road, a bridge, a house, whatever we need, create ways for the water to get to us, a whole water system. You understand? What else? Carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths. We was handling that gold. We brought our riches with us, most as much as we could. Leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths. So we didn't learn to be skilled or blacksmiths over here in America. We had this history already. We had this history before we even came over here. Before we was forced to come here on ships by threat of death and made slaves. We already had all these good things. Agriculturists, etc., etc. You see how wonderful we were? You see how wonderful we were, man? White Americans could never teach us anything to benefit ourselves. All they could teach you to be is a coward. All they can teach you to be is a coward, man. That's all they could teach us to be. You know, and I show you we in the last days, man. And the Most High going to destroy this people for their hypocrisy, for their lies, man. For their lies. And He's going to destroy them sooner than planned. We just got to hold the reins. We just got to hold the reins, man. They did not teach us anything. The only thing slavery did was kill and murder and oppress us. Now, let me show you something before I get into the scriptures. I'm going to show you something about a sellout. Let me show you this bitch. Let me show you this broad here, man. This is a black Christian lawmaker, right? This black Christian lawmaker said something heinous, right? Something heinous. And she sat on the board with Florida lawmakers, you know, that passed that law to say that slavery was good for us. She sat on the board. And why did they let her sit on the board? Because this is what she thinks about slavery. And white people always find a traitor. And I'm going to get into that in a second, too. It's biblical. They always find a traitor amongst us Kimberly Daniels. They always find a traitor amongst us to support their racist agenda. They always do that. But I want y'all to hear what this broad said, man. Listen close. Oh, man. 1 second. I'm going to start over. Put the sound on.
If it wasn't for the crack house, come on, somebody. I thank God for slavery.
She's a Christian leading a congregation which is against God and against Christ, because the Bible says a woman ain't supposed to lead no damn congregation, right? That's number one. Also, she's a lawmaker She's a state lawmaker, Kimberly Daniels, right? And listen to what she's saying, man. Listen to what she's saying. I'm going to play it again. Here we go.
I thank God for slavery.
She thanks God for slavery. I gotta pause that for a second. She thanks God for slavery. That's what she said. She thanked God for slavery. Let's see why. Let's see why. Why, Kimberly Daniels? Why do you thank God for what this beast called the white man, the oppressor, did to us?
I thank God for the crack house. If it wasn't for the crack house, come on, somebody, God wouldn't have never been able to use me how he can use me now. And if it wasn't for slavery, I might be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree. I thank God for slavery.
You hear this, bro?
I thank God for the crack house. If it wasn't for the crack house, come on, somebody, God wouldn't have never.
You hear this woman? She thanks God. Listen, she thanked God for the crack house, because if it wasn't for the crack house, she wouldn't have never became a Christian. She wouldn't have never became a Christian. Well, we teach our members, we teach brothers and sisters that want to learn under God, under the right way. It's always better to learn from somebody else's mistake. That's why God left us these records. The Bible says the things were written aforetime for our learning. For our learning. Why? So we can read the Bible and read the history and read about our people who made simple ass mistakes and was not wise and did things to anger God and were destroyed because of it, man. And we can read that. So why? We don't have to become a crackhead, and we don't have to go eat pork, and we don't have to do these things so we can learn a good lesson. We can read the history of how God feels about those things and not do it in the first place. Or if we were doing it, once we learn and find out that God is against it and we ain't supposed to be doing it, we stop doing it. You understand? But we don't thank God for the crack house. We thank God for his word, for Christ. We thank God for these records. You understand? We thank God for these records so we can get on the right track with our God. So that he can see that we, at least a little bit, trying to show him to destroy these people that's over us so we can rule again and get this oppressor off of our back, man. She thanked God for the crack house because that allowed her to find white Jesus when Jesus ain't even white. When Jesus ain't even white. God ain't even white. You understand? She said, but she shouldn't even be, she would be beat in the time of Christ or the Old Testament, picking up a mic and opening her mouth like she going to lead men. You understand? And then she thanked God for slavery. So America finds sellouts like these all the time. You understand? And put them in front when they want to pass disgustingly evil laws. You understand? I'm going to get back to these sellouts like Kimberly Daniels. You're right, Abishai, ignorant as hell. You understand? And simple, Makwalat, you're right. You understand? I'm going to get back on the topic of traders, but right now, I want to get back to the Lord, man. Is pissed off at all their lies and propaganda. Like slavery was a good thing. They trying to teach that in all the schools. They don't want to feel guilty, so you can't teach that slavery was bad for the slaves any longer. You can't show how horrible we was to the slaves because a white student might feel bad. You might make white students cry. They might say that was horrible. I can't believe my people did that. I used to love George Washington. I used to love what's his name, Abraham Lincoln. I used to love our forefathers, but they were horrible, murderous slave owners. And they don't want that. They don't want that. You understand? Matthew 24 and 22 reads, and except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sakes, which is you, ISUPK, you are the chosen, the elect, you understand, who come to serve the Lord, where the Spirit of God dwells. You are the home of the truth, man. And if it wasn't for your sakes, God, that Christ said in Matthew 24 and 22, those days shall be shortened, man. America's prophesied to be destroyed. America's prophesied to be destroyed, man. And the Lord had a time. He said after 2 days, and a day to him is like 1,000 years. So we in that time of after 2 days. But if the Lord also said in there through Christ, he said, if they don't shorten the days, ain't no flesh going to be saved. Because this man is trying to, once again, the South is rising again. The KKK is rising again. And he want old-fashioned slavery back. He want the days of the laugh barrel back, where you couldn't even laugh around white people. You had to stick your head in a barrel that was placed all over the community. He want the days where you can't go into the shops, but they ain't got to eat with you. They ain't got to be next to you. They ain't got to smell you until they wanted to. If they wanted to have sex with you, they'd come in your community and rape you and throw you away. They do have the right to do that, but we can't go amongst them and do a damn thing. You understand? That's what they want. They want those days back. John 8:44. You understand? And once again, America, they put lies out before the nation, before the world. They just lied. Slavery was good for black people. The whole voting thing, when Trump lost, they still talk about it was stolen and this and that happened. Giuliani just admitted that he lied. He just admitted that he lied. All the Trump's people and these governors and senators and all of them are corrupt criminals and gangsters, man. They're investigating Biden's son now because he was a thief. They supposed to all love America so much when they rob America blind, man. Rob the tax money, rob the people. I'm going to get into Donald Trump if I got time, man. How him, his father, and his grandfather were Klansmen. And preyed on black people, robbing and stealing them through real estate. You understand? John 8:44, ye are of your father the devil. So who is this? Who was Christ talking to? He was actually talking to black people, talking to Israelites when he said ye and told them you are of your father the devil. Why? Because black leaders during the time of Rome, just like black leaders now, love white people more than God. And Christ is telling them that you love white people more than God, like they are your father and not God. We worship white people then and now. A lot of us, our black leaders, the wealthy black people, we worship white people like they're the Holy Father, man. Like they're the Holy Father. And Christ said, you are of your father, the devil. And then he talking about the Romans at this time. But on another fold, talking about all white people, man. Devil just means deceiver, liar and deceiver. John 8:44, ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your fathers ye will do. Christ telling them, y'all act just like white people. You're starting to become just as evil as white people. You're learning to be wicked from these white people that rule over us. That's what Christ was telling them. And a lot of our black people, we still learn that same lesson today. Kimberly Daniels is one of them. Kimberly Daniels is one of them. That old shucking jiving cat on the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas, he's one of them. That old sheriff, I don't know where he at now. That old sheriff, they used to, every time he was on the news, talking like he hate black people. That old black sheriff wore that hat. You understand? I forget his name. But we got a lot of traitors amongst us, man. And Christ was checking our people back then and told the Pharisees and Sadducees, black leaders, that you make the white man your father, and he's the devil. And you do everything evil that he does. The lust of him you'll do. He also said, reading on, he was a murderer from the beginning, because the demon that sat in Cain when he murdered Abel is the same demon that resided in Esau when he was born. The same demon that's in the white race today. American, Russian, German, Jewish, French, Spanish, all of them, Poland, all of them. That lust, that murder demon is in them, man. That's why they do, so they famous for mass murdering, man. That's why they won't let these guns go. They have to murder. And unfortunately, like Christ said, you are of your father the devil. He said that to black people. a lot of black people is learning how to kill from these people, man. You seeing more black people, man, trying to do mass shootings now because they done made the devil, the white man, their father and their God. And they're doing what he does. The lust of him, they starting to do. You understand? It said he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speak. Well, note that first. Christ saying there's no truth in the white man, in our oppressor. There's none. You understand? When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. And when he lies, he inserts himself in the lie. He lie about what the disciples look like and insert himself as the disciples. He lie about what Jesus Christ looks like and inserts himself in the image of Jesus Christ. He lies about what God looks like and inserts himself as the image of God. And you got that painting in Rome where a white God is touching the finger of a white Adam. You see movies and read books about the angels. They're always depicted as white people. A lot of times white women and white babies. You understand? When he speak of a lie, he speaketh of his own. Let's see what Christ said. For he is a liar and the father of it. Now, call Jesus Christ a liar. That man ain't never lied. Our king ain't never lied. And he said, these people that oppress us, they are devils, deceivers, and liars, and they are the fathers of it, man. They are the fathers of it. That's why it's easy for Ron DeSantis to say slaves benefited from slavery and learned skills. Everybody know that's crazy. I hear white people on the news talking about, to say that, to think that and believe that is just insanity. Because it is insanity, but Ron DeSantis know that even though he says something so racist, so insane, that a lot of America loves him for it. They love to just put it out there. Why? Because it's mocking black people. It's mocking us. And they love to mock us every chance they get. Some of them got to say, I'm sorry afterward, but they didn't put it out there. The mock is done. A lot of times they mock us and say racist things on purpose and then say, oops, oopsie. Did I say nigger? Oopsie, if I offended anybody, I apologize. They don't lose their job. They don't get fired. Nothing. They just tell black people, I'm sorry. And you, with your white Jesus-loving behinds in church like Kimberly Daniels, you just say, oh, I don't like it, but I got to forgive him. I have no choice. I have no choice but to forgive him and still love him. You a goddamn fool, you Christians, man. You a goddamn fool. America is an empire of hypocrisy, ran by liars. And their foundation is having respect of persons, which goes against everything our laws tell us. We are forbidden to have respect of persons, but America is built on that. It's a whole debate about it now. Because of respect of persons, certain people get into Harvard with no problem in all your top colleges. You understand? Because of respect of persons, some people don't go to jail. Joe Biden's son just admitted that he's guilty for the crimes of stealing, tax. They're dealing with the taxes wrong and stealing. And they said the DOJ is fighting to not give him any jail time. All the crime that Trump has done, you think he's going to jail? You better think again. All the crime that Giuliani did, him and Trump was working with Russians, getting paid hand over fist, man. Millions and millions, if not billions of dollars from the Russians and other countries. That's how they roll, man, up there in them politics. Trump was letting everybody get paid. All them gangsters that rolled with him, that went to prison after after he became president and he pardoned them. That's respect of persons, which is against God. You understand? And this place is a place of lying hypocrisy, but they are proud of it. And black people still don't understand this. You black Christians, you can't believe that white people are happy when they say racist things or when racist things happen, and it's out there. It's like, oh, I know they got to feel shame now. That's what the Christians think. Oh my God, he said that. I know he feels shame now. No, they love it. They love it. You watch a movie about slavery and you black Christians cry and say, I know white people got to watch this and feel bad for what they done to us. That's what you think. They watch that same movie that make you sad and they have a drink and they celebrate and say, yes, those were good times when we beat those niggas and sick dogs on them and beat them with the hooves of our horses. Those were the good days when we ran them down and made our horses stomp their heads in. Those were the good old days, man. And they want to make America great again. You understand? Christians don't believe that. Christians don't believe that. Yeah, you're right. Brothers in prison for $30 of damn child support. $40, $50 in arrears of child support. Brothers in prison. You understand? With no hopes of getting out because he can't make the money in jail. You understand? That's ridiculous. While our oppressor, these Caucasians, rob the country and taxpayers and black women and black men through real estate, rob them of millions and millions, man, and they don't see no time in jail. They don't see no time in jail. You understand? Where am I? Psalms. I'm going to the book of Psalms 35 and 16. It reads, with hypocritical mockers in feasts, they gnash me with their teeth. Our King David, man, prayed about these mockers when he was on the run, man. And us, and we in the ISUBK, we pray to the Most High also today in 2023. We pray that the Lord do something about these mockers, man, and these oppressors and these bastards that hurt us and harm us every day. Job 20 and 5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short. That's what Job said. He asked that the triumphing, the victory, the winning of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. And it is. It is short. I know we've been here, you know, I've been here, you know, tell my age, about 50 years old, man. We've been here for a while, a lot of us, and it seemed like a long time. Some of you young brothers, you've been here 30 years, 25 years. You understand? Some of you old have been here 60 years, man. And all our life, all we've known is slavery. We've never known what it is to be free. On our best day, it's not freedom. You understand? And so we pray in 2023. We pray in 2023 that the Lord make the triumphing of the wicked short. You understand? We pray that the joy of these hypocrites lasts only for a moment, man. And we're going to get that. Because Christ said, except them days be shortened, no flesh shall be saved. So for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shah, man. We got an army. And we got a support group in heaven. And once they get the green light and come down here, oh my God. Oh my God. Ain't no stopping us then. The world gonna see what our army can do. We ain't gonna be like the Russians, pussyfooting with the Ukraine back and forth because America helping Ukraine. Our king and our army gonna annihilate them all in one fell swoop. Because we got it like that. Because we got it like that, black man, Hispanic man, North American, Indian man, woman, and child. You are the greatest thing on earth. God, your God is the most powerful God, and your army is untouchable. Your army in heaven is untouchable, man. Get it, the Most High hand. It's a beautiful thing. You understand? He sees their evil. He sees their hypocrisy, but the Lord is patient, man. He told us in the Bible, once again, that book, that history is for our learning, so we can understand what we're supposed to understand about the Most High to get to the point where we free again, where he send our king to put these empires on their knees. You understand? The Lord is patient, and he waiting until the perfect time to unleash a biblical fury and a biblical wrath on our oppressors, man. And it's going to be a wonderful day. Oh man, when the smoke clear and we hear what our king on this earth and our oppressor is hiding in rocks from all the fire and the war and the nuclear weaponry and explosions, we getting them out of the rocks, and we getting them from out of their bunkers, and we getting them from out of their underwater cities, and we getting them from off of the space stations that they're hiding on. We getting them from everywhere and chaining them up, and then they're going to be held accountable, man. I love to say it. I love to say it. And the Lord is patient until that time. They're going to be held accountable. For sure. For sure. You understand. What's weird? I'm going to read Romans 9:13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Now, I didn't make that up. The ISUPK didn't make that up. That's in the Old Testament and it's right here in the New Testament that God loves Jacob, who are the 12 tribes of Israel, the real Jews, those black Jews that Rudolph Windsor talked about. And then he said, but hated Esau. Who is Esau? Once again, he's also called an Edomite, aka Caucasian, aka white American, white Russian, white French, white German, white Jewish, white Spanish, white Polish, white Australian, white Slavic, white Sweden, white Kazakhstan, all of your Caucasian white races. That is Esau. And God said, in reading again, the end of Romans 9:13, but Esau have I hated. Now I'm going to jump down to Romans 9:22. What if God, willing to show his wrath, because I just said God is patient, but when the time comes, he's going to unleash a biblical wrath and fury and destruction on Esau, these people that I just named, that ain't never happened on the earth before. In Romans, it says, what if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering? That means patience. He endured and he suffered for a long time how evil these people are that's over us. And they've been evil for a very, very long time, and God suffered it. He suffered it and been patient with it for a very long time, and he let his anger build. You understand? It said, he endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath. Who's the vessels of wrath? Esau, the ones he hates. He calls them the vessels of wrath because they are the people that he's going to unleash all of his heavenly wrath upon. It said, the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. Now that's in the New Testament, Christians. God is telling you he got a people that he calls the vessels of wrath. He said he hates Esau. Then he said those same people, he called them the vessels of wrath. And then he said they are fitted to destruction. That's in the Bible. New Testament. New Testament. So God can't love everybody. Not after reading this. You understand? Not after reading where he said, Esau have I hated. So he can't love everybody if he just said, Jacob I love, Esau I hated. You understand? You Christians fooling yourself. Why? Because your father is white people. You've made the devil your father, like Christ said, and you believe his lies. And Christ said he's the father of lies, and you still believe his lies. You understand? Reading on. And that he might make known, this is the 23rd verse of the 9th chapter of Romans, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy. Who are the vessels of mercy? Obviously, is Jacob, the ones he loves. The ones he loves, which he had afore prepared unto glory. Most High always knew, even after he punished us, he knew that we would get right, 1/3 of us. He knew that 1/3 of us would get right, and it would be enough to make him destroy our enemies, man. Destroy our enemies. And he knew he always had a kingdom prepared for us from the beginning. From the beginning. It said 24, even us whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. That's a cut to all you Negroes, you Christian Israelites who love to say only black people are Israelites. Because the Lord said, not of the Jews only, not just the Negro tribe, but of the Gentiles, which are the Spanish, so-called Latinos, so-called Indian tribes. Those other tribes that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. The Lord have called all of us. That was Paul's whole mission. You understand? He's called all of us back into his glory, man. You understand? America is racist, and God is about to destroy this place. And any black people, you Christians, anybody, you Muslims, you conscious community fools, any of you think America is not the same racist, lynching, murderous people that they've always been, you a goddamn fool. You a damn fool. And the reason why America has been pushing such racist laws so blatantly is because, like I've been saying for quite a while now, the Klan is running America. The South has risen again. They have gotten control of the government. The Supreme Court, they in control of that. The Senate, they in control of that, man. Just because Biden is in office, Biden is old school gangster too. Y'all forget what he did. Don't forget what he did to black people when he was governor and all that. Biden done been racist against us too. Don't fool yourself for a minute thinking that Democrats love black people. They're for black people. Democrats is just another branch of Satan, man. Just another branch of Satan. You understand? The South is rising again. The Klan then took over the government. It's happened. It's done. It's done. All we can do is get right with our God and build up this nation until our king come with our army and destroy these people, man. You understand? The Klan then took over your government. You waiting for it to happen. They over the mayors, not only senators and governors, but mayors, the judges. The Klan is over them, man. Klan is all up in the district attorney's offices. You understand? Why you think the district attorney ain't do nothing when they killed that brother that was jogging and them two Bubba hillbillies rode up on him in a truck and ended up murdering him? Because he looking in a house that they were building in a neighborhood. He jogging through. He looking at the house and just looking at the construction and looking at how they building it. Something that white people do all the time. But he was brown. He was black. He was an Israelite, a Jew. And these white people saw him and said, we're going to chase him down and make him explain why he walking through our neighborhood, running through our neighborhood, and end up murdering this brother, man. End up murdering this brother. The Klan is taking over the district attorney's office and the courts in that city where they did that. They sat on that thing until the video came out. By the time the video came out, it was weeks and weeks later, if not months, that they heard of what happened and why they killed this brother and how horrible it was on video and that this brother was innocent. And then it was a whole big investigation once they exposed. You understand? But as long as they keep it quiet, man, the Klan gonna keep it quiet. And the Department of Justice is filled with Klansmen. You understand? Your attorneys, your lawyers, your police. Come on now. Everybody know that, etc., etc., etc. You understand? The Klan is all up in these institutions, man. They all up in these institutions. And while I'm on that note, let me read something about Donald Trump. You understand? Once again, when Barack Obama came into office, right? When Barack Obama came into office, y'all pissed white America off. Y'all was acting like, yes, black people rule America, and that pissed white people off. And you were so foolish because, number one, Barack Obama is not one of us. He's a Hamite. aka an African. You understand? That's what Barack Obama is. He's not one of us. He's not a descendant of slaves. You understand? He's not. He's not a descendant of slaves, nor did he have our best interests at heart. Barack Obama did nothing to benefit black people during his presidency. Nothing. But at one time, he did speak out against black men, saying something to the effect that we ain't shit, basically. You understand? The same sentiment that white America feels. So he was just a pawn for the Democratic white people, who are more professional slaves than the Republicans. The Republicans want to be old good Southern Ku Klux Klan, lynch them, beat them, rape them type slaves. The Democrat, they want to be more professional slave owners, give you employment, let you pay for your housing while they give you pennies to pay for the housing, and make you feel like you're free. Feed you a few drugs, feed you some women so you can be promiscuous. You understand? While keeping their economy running. While keeping their economy running. You right, Kazakwana. And whites and Africans still work together to this day. They still working together. There's African communities in America. Hell, here in Philly, you got an African community right outside of Philly, over by Yaden, Upper Darby. There's an African community over there. The police do not bother them. They do not bother them. Because why? Everybody knows that black people, African Americans, are not the same as African people. You understand? And Barack Obama was one of them. He was not one of us. But it pissed white people off enough that it even looked like somebody brown that wasn't them is running America. If you make white people feel like they're not in charge, they go to war. And lo and behold, they got Donald Trump up in there. Lo and behold, they got Donald Trump up in there. Let me read this about Donald Trump. It says, he took him to Klan rallies. Cornel West and Hannity have heated debate on the father of Trump and his ties to the Ku Klux Klan. Fox News host Sean Hannity and third-party presidential candidate Cornel West and listen, even though Cornel West is bringing this out, he is half a traitor also. He like to talk black talk and bring out black points that be the truth. But Negro, who can really get down with you and trust your agenda? And you got a whole heathen woman, man. You got a whole heathen woman. It said Hannity and West got into a heated exchange about former President Donald Trump and racism. We were talking about, and he always calling people brother. He's so foolish, man. He's an old fool. You were talking about Brother Trump himself and Biden's connection to Stennis, Biden's connection to Thurman. West noted at one point, referring to Democratic U.S. senators from the segregationist South. You understand? We know Brother Trump. His own father's been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people, West added as Hannity cut in. Hold on. Hannity cut in while Cornel West was saying Trump's father has ties to the Klan. And then Hannity cut in and said, and then Cornel West started to say Trump's language about black people. Then Hannity cut in, said, hold on. I never heard his father, professor. I've never heard that allegation. And white people always plead, well, I've never heard that. I would have to look into that. Even your government. I've seen so many senators and governors and government go to trial because they get caught in some scandal and some mess. And it's always what I recall. If I could recall, I don't remember it going like that. I don't remember, which shows that the government would be really dumb if they really couldn't recall all the things they say they can't recall, if they really couldn't remember. Who are these Harvard graduates sitting up running the country if they too dumb to remember what they did, if they too stupid to recall anything? Because they are lying. They are lying, and it's an accepted lie by judges and lawyers and the government and everybody. All they got to do is say the words. Even though everybody knows they're lying, you can't say nothing against them because you can't prove what he was thinking. You understand? That's in America. That's part of the respective persons. So Hannity cut in and said he's never heard that about Trump's father. As West spake about Trump's father's history in Queens as a real estate developer, Hannity spoke over him saying, I know Joe Biden said he didn't want our school to be integrated to be biracial jungles. So he bringing out dirt on Joe Biden because why? In his mind, Cornel West supports the Democrats and he supports Joe Biden. So he know Cornel West is now throwing mud on Trump and bringing out the fact that he's a racist and how all the Republicans and Americans that support him are racist too. He got to throw a little mud on Biden. In his mind, he's throwing mud on Cornel West and black people. But smart black people understand that the Democrats have no love for black people. They are both Democrat and Republican. Both work for the beast. Both work for Satan. So he cut him off and said something about Joe Biden didn't want our schools to be integrated. And then Cornel West said, no, my brother, you got to do a little reading. We won't go into all of that now, but I'm not going to say. West shot back as Hannity doubled down. He did say that. He's saying Joe Biden did say that. And Joe Biden is an old racist bastard. You understand? Trump's father indeed had been arrested in 1927 after a Klan riot and march through a neighborhood in Queens. Although his connection to the Klan is unclear. Of course, they would say that. And so now I'm going to get this other article about that incident. So I'm done with this. Let me get that other article for you real quick. Here we go. All right. Everybody see that clearly? Let me get to it. All right. It says, this is from the Washington Post. Salakia. It reads, New York owner. Oh, Salakia. Yeah. New York. Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, Salakia. Donald Trump's father was arrested twice. So the first thing they're going to go into how he was arrested for scamming black people out of their homes and whatnot. The New York owner of an apartment project in Seat Pleasant was arrested in Prince George's County yesterday for not complying with 5 citations for housing code violations filed against the project 9 months ago. So he was arrested on scamming black people. He was a slumlord. That's why Trump was a slumlord also. You understand? Former President Donald Trump turned himself into authorities Tuesday on charges stemming from hush payments from adult film. I just showing that the apple don't fall far from the tree. Trump is a criminal like his father was a criminal. Trump's father, Fred Trump, was arrested twice in 1927 during a Ku Klux Klan riot, and then in 1976 over code violations at a building he owned in Maryland. The later case, it said Trump's father, also a real estate developer, was arrested in Prince George County and known these days for its team of black women in leadership and for being one of the country's richest majority black counties. So Prince George County in Maryland, it was known for the black women in leadership and known to be one of the richest majority black counties. And Trump's father preyed on them and took money from them for concerning real estate and did all type of things to them. You understand? And Trump claimed he didn't know anything about it, of course. I didn't know. I didn't know. But if you didn't know, you should have known. You politicians who don't know a goddamn thing, you should have known why you're in office, why you're here. You understand? The New York owner is going into the real estate thing, but I'm trying to get down to the plan part. All right, hold on. Here we go. Seen as police and Klan clash in a Queens parade. So the Klan was marching through Queens, and it got out of hand. It got out of hand. Trump didn't know people died from the flu. That's how dumb he is. He made a statement like he didn't know people died from the flu, yet it killed his grandfather. They just bringing out how stupid he is. This was not Fred Trump's first arrest, meaning when he scammed all them black people with the real estate, when he was being a slumlord to black people, said that wasn't his first arrest. 49 years earlier, in 1927, he was arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally that turned violent in Queens on a charge of refusing to disperse from a parade when ordered to do so. So Trump's father was a Klansman marching with the Klan, and got arrested in 1927, man. Got arrested in 1927 for marching with the Klan. He was a Klansman and took Trump to Klan rallies. Took Donald Trump to Klan rallies, man. And guess what? Ain't no surprise. It's no surprise that Trump's father was a Klansman. There's no surprise that Trump went to Klan rallies. Ain't no surprise that Trump's father hated black people. And there's no surprise that Trump hates black people. Check this out. Check this out. Okay, I'm gonna read it. I don't know how clear y'all can see it, but I'll read it. This is Frederick Trump. His name was actually Frederick Trump. Frederick Hayat the Third Reich. Y'all see where I'm going? He was a German. Trump's father's father was a German, was a Nazi. And that's why Commander Jenny Hunt had been saying for years that America is pushing Nazism, man. And they are. All the Trump supporters, Donald Trump, his father, his father's father, they are all Nazi KKK Germans, man. Frederick Trump is a German, man. He was born in March 14, 1869 to May 30th, 1918. He was a German-born American. He was a barber and a businessman. He was the patriarch of the Trump family and the paternal grandfather of Donald Trump. Born and raised in Kallstadt, Kingdom of Bavaria, Trump immigrated to the United States back in 1885. So Donald Trump's grandfather was a damn German. The people that put the Jewish people in slavery and oppressed them, the people that gassed Jewish people and put them in concentration camps and gassed them to death, those people. And although we know Germans attack Jewish people, we also know that Germans hate black people. They hate black people. It was one of the reasons. It was one of the reasons why they were so hard on Jewish people. Because the fact that these Jewish people who they knew were their brothers, Germans knew that Jewish people were their brothers from the Ashkenazi Empire, descendants from Poland and Germany and Russia and Sweden. And you know what I'm saying? They knew that these Jewish people, this sect of white people, had ties with their roots. And now they're claiming to be Jewish people. Now they're claiming to be Jewish people, a people that we know through history to be black people. They were offended, man. But that was white on white crime. Let them work that out. We don't really give a damn what the Germans did to the Holocaust because that was white on white crime. Thugs and criminals fighting other thugs and criminals. You understand? But Donald Trump's grandfather was a born German Nazi, man. Heil Hitler. You understand? I'm sure that was one of, he used to holler that all the time. Hell, recently, when they had a march in America, man, you had white Americans marching in Carolina, I think it was, with tiki torches, talking about the Third Reich and Heil Hitler, and Jews will not oppress us. Blacks will not oppress us. When they ran over that white girl. You understand? Nazi America is strong and alive. You understand? The Klan, the KKK, and the Nazis already run America, man. One of them was just your president, and Donald Trump. You understand? Salakia. Let me get this. Yeah, one of them was just your president, man. And again, it's so sickening. It's so sickening when we got traitors that support these racist notions, man, that support the Nazis, like Kimberly Daniels and various other black people, man. But it ain't no surprise. It ain't no surprise because we've always had traitors in Israel, and we dealt with those traitors too. And those traitors going to get dealt with in these last days. Let me read the Bible about a couple of traitors. You understand? Let me read about a couple of traitors. Then I'm going to read about brothers like you soldiers in One West and you sisters in One West who stand strong and bold against our adversary. Let's first read about a traitor. I'm going to go to 1 Maccabees 1 and 11. I'm going to read a few verses. In Apocrypha, 1 Maccabees or the King James Bible 16:11, 1 Maccabees 1 and 11. In those days, went out of Israel, out of black people, Hispanic people, wicked men who persuaded many. And these wicked black leaders, Charlottesville, right? Slocky. Yeah, Charlottesville, Virginia, Slocky. The water, West Philly. And so in those days, they went out of Israel. So these were Jews. These were Israelites. Wicked men. But these were the wickedest of us, man. These were the black leaders. These were Israelite leaders, man. Israelite leaders who made white people their God. During this time, it was the Greeks. It was the Greeks who they made their God, their father. You understand? And these wicked Israelites, it said, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant. Let's make a deal, an agreement with the heathen, which was totally against our laws. God said, make no peace with them. God said, have no peace with them so that you can be strong. Obviously, our black leaders have been weak for a very long time, all the way until 2023, all the way until right now. Our black leaders are weak because they make white people their God and their father. And they constantly make covenants and agreements and deals with the same people that murder us. Well, our leaders back then did the same thing. And these wicked men in Israel, they tried to convince the people, let's all go make this deal, an agreement with the heathens that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Israelites did the same thing when Moses took us out of Egypt by the hand of God. They complained. They were hungry. They wasn't living and eating meat as often as they was when they were slaves under Pharaoh. So they complained to Moses and said, we missed the onion pots and the meat pots. We were better. Did you bring us out of here to kill us, Moses? They wanted to go back into slavery. And so did these black leaders during the time of the Maccabees, man. And so do black leaders here in America in 2023. That old Kimberly Daniels. She want to go back into slavery because slavery was good for us. We learned. Maybe we need another lesson. Maybe that's what Kimberly's saying. Maybe we need to get back into slavery so we can learn some more. So we can learn some more and figure these things out because we falling away from the white Jesus and white God. Reading on, 1 Maccabees 1 and 11. Okay, that's the end of 1 and 11. He says, for since we departed from these heathen, from them, we have had much sorrow. 12th verse. So this device pleased them well. So you had other wicked ass Israelites who agreed with these selfish, greedy traitors leading Israel. And that's all you always got Israel. And that's why the heathen know if they can get some traitors, they'll convince a lot more other people that are on the fence, a lot of other Israelites and black people that are on the fence, that are weak and fearful. And they'll just join them because they're afraid. So this device pleased them well. The other Israelites who were scared, weak punks and bitches, they agreed with these black leaders to get down with the heathen. So now, 1 second, I'm sorry, seeing something on the news. 13th verse. Hell yeah, Steve Harvey too, man. There's so many of them. There's so many. 13th verse. Then certain of the people were so forward herein. Not only they listen, not only was they agreeing, okay, let's make a deal from the heathen, they actually got bold with it, stuck their chests out. Like, we getting down with the heathens. They were so forward that they went to the king of the heathens, man. They went to the king of the heathens ruling at that time, who gave them license or permission, because that's all any license is permission, who gave these wicked Israelites permission or a license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem. That's where your Roman, that's where your Greco-Roman cathedrals and place of sports, some entertainments where they had us fighting lions and doing all type of things, like your modern day football field, those arenas, those Greco-Roman arenas and whatnot. Those were your places of exercise, things where they forced, they did sport. They had sport like football and different things. At Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. But these places of exercise, these arenas, were made to entertain the heathen. And wicked Israelites were down with that. Wicked Israelites were down with that, and they convinced other weak Israelites to be down with that. You understand? They told themselves and convinced other Israelites to use these places of exercise to entertain the heathens, to be in accordance with the customs of the heathens. These were traitors, man. These were traitors. So you right. Charles Barkley, hell. Charles Barkley, who else? Michael Jordan, Shaq. You understand? Who that old smiling Negro who do all the sports? They love him on the sports. Work with that Edomite, that Jewish Edomite. I forget what the brother name is. Oh man, y'all know him. Y'all know him. Got the forehead, the 5 head, hairline way back here. You understand? They love him though, but he's another sellout and traitor. You understand? I'm going to Numbers 25 and 10. What time is it? I might go a little over. Not Adam Silver. This is a brother. He that brother that do ESPN all the time. Got the receding hairline, and you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll know his name if it comes to me. There you go, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, the water lot. Numbers 25 and 1. And Israel, but I'm reading about another traitor amongst Israel at a time where we trying to get ourselves together and be strong again. Somebody always defy us and with boldness consort with the heathen. Right in our face, man. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people begin to commit whoredoms with the daughters of Moab. We started to go off again. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. So the heathen, they made the Israelites sacrifice unto their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun. So the Most High gave Moses an order. I'm pissed off at these people, man, dealing with these heathens. Put them all to death. Separate their heads from their bodies. And Moses, so that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. 5th verse. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. So Moses told the judges to order everybody to go put to death, take the heads of all the men that's dealing with these Moabite women, these heathen women, and worshiping their God. 6th verse. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses. So this was a woman that was from Midian, the area of Midian, but still under under Moab. You understand, a heathen. And in the sight of Moses at that. And in the sight of Slakia, and in the sight of women, in the sight of Moses, Slakia, in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So we crying and praying to the Most High because he's been punishing us and destroying us, and we done found out why, and Moses is telling us how to make it right, and Moses is telling the judges and Israel how to make it right, that we got to kill these traitors. We got to get rid of them, take their heads by orders of God. So while we crying, it says 7. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, Salakia. Okay, so this one cat, he took a Midianite woman. He bought unto his brother a Midianitish woman, meaning he bought this heathen amongst Israel. This was his woman. He was claiming to be his woman amongst Israel. Why are we crying and trying to get right from God? While we know the Lord is angry for what we've done, he was so bold to do this in front of everybody, in front of Moses, in front of the women, in front of Moses and all Israel and the whole congregation. And when Phinehas, this is the 7th verse, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, one of the sons of the Levites, Phinehas, he saw it. It said he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent. So this man was in his tent, in his bed, in his house with this heathen woman, giving her the business. He was that bold. He was that bold. But Phinehas wasn't having that. Phinehas took a javelin, man, and he ran after this cat. And he went up into the tent, and 8th verse says, and thrust both of them through. And the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. The Lord was pleased with that. The Lord was pleased with the death of this traitor, man. And his anger was appeased, and he stopped hurting Israel. And the Lord spake unto Slakia. And so that's it on that. And that's it on that. When traitors are destroyed from amongst black people, God is pleased. God is pleased. We be all day. ISUPK Cincinnati. We be all day, West Philly. You know what I'm saying? There's so many of them, and the Lord is pleased with their death. The Lord is pleased, especially if they don't repent. We under grace now, of course. We all know that. They got some time to get right. But boy, the Lord does not like a traitor, man. You know what I'm saying? Because of slavery, we didn't all got weak. We got weak. We all got weak from the trauma, man. The trauma and the stress from the oppression. It's normal that a lot of our people have gotten weak, man. You know what I'm saying? But there are men who have not bowed their knee to Satan, who have not bowed their knee to the heathen. There are men out there who have not bowed their knee to this beast, aka America, our oppressors in white America. You understand? And they right here in the ISUPK, and the sisters that's rolling with them, man. They right here. We right here in One West. And guess what? There has always been soldiers that stand with the Lord, even in the face of death. What time is it? 1:03. Y'all mind if I go a little longer? I want to bring out this brother, man. One of my favorite scriptures, man, about this old head, this Israelite who was the shit, you understand, and stood strong, even at the face. And he's just one of many, man. He's just one of many. I'm in 2 Maccabees 6, and I'm going to start at 18. I'm going to start at 18. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. So these heathens, man, they stepped to, remember, some of our people sold out and made deals with the heathen. The heathen gave them, they got permission from the heathen to start a place of exercise as long as they run it according to the heathen. But this brother here, they was trying to force him to eat pork, to eat swine's flesh. 19. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment. So they forced it in his mouth. He spit it out. And so they tormented him, man. They beat him and hurt him, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. It's not lawful amongst Israelites to taste swine's flesh, or a crab's flesh, or the meat of a lobster, or tuna, you understand, or any shelled fish, or squid, you know what I mean, or shark, or dolphin, you understand? We got laws on what to eat and what not to eat. And Eleazar, he stood strong behind it. 21st verse. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintances they had with the man, taking him aside. So they, they knew this brother. They had old acquaintances with him. They knew him. And they just wanted him to obey the new law, to eat this pork rather than kill him. So it said, for the old acquaintances they had with the man, taking him aside. So they pulled him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use. So they talked to him. They said, listen, go get meat that's lawful for your people, okay? Go ahead. I know you spitting it out. We knew you for a long time. We like you. So go get, lawful meat that's lawful according to your people and your culture, to the Israelites. Go get that. It said, of his own provisions, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. So they wanted him to get some beef or some chicken or turkey, lawful meat, lawful to the Israelites. They wanted him to get it and eat it in front of the people, but tell the people it's the meat that the king gave him. Tell the people it was pork. That's what they wanted this brother to do. Now, would he have been breaking the law? No, he didn't break the law. He'd be eating his own lawful meat. But everybody around him, all Israel, would believe in their mind that this brother, who's always been, wise and ancient in Israel, that he done fell weak, man, and ate this pork. 22, that in doing so, he might be delivered from death, for the old friendship with them find favor. So they tried to get him to do this so that he would not eat this pork, man. They tried to get him to do this so that they wouldn't have to kill him. You understand? And they understood what this did, because if they could find a traitor, they wanted him to appear to be a traitor, because that would convince a whole bunch of other Israelites and black people that it's okay to do this thing. That's what traitors do. A traitor is a poison that spreads. That's why the Lord had Moses command the brothers to kill them traitors, man, so that cancer didn't spread. And traitors are still a cancer today in 2023. Where am I at? 23. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. What does brother say? After all this, please go get some lawful meat. Go ahead, eat some steak. But when you eat it in front of the people and tell them that it's pork. Tell them you obeying the king's law, okay? Because we don't want to hurt you. And what did Eleazar say? He said, put me to death. Put me to death. Death before dishonor. Eleazar was one west. He was one west. You understand? He was one west. He said, send me to the grave. You understand? Where we at? Okay, 20. That abomination for the delivered from the punishment. Yeah, Salakia. 24th verse. 24th verse. For it became not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, he was 90 years old. And he said, it ain't the best thing to do for my age. You understand? In any situation, to disassemble, to mess up my reputation, whereby the young people that under me and that know me, they might think that me being 90 years old were now gone to a strange 25. And so they, through my hypocrisy, Eleazar wasn't a hypocrite. ISUPK ain't no damn hypocrites, man. Not like them purple homos, the IUIC. They love Israel, teach Israel, trying to raise Israel, Israel united in Christ, yet their leader just mocked Christ recently in a video. Just mocked Christ, made fun of him dying on the cross. But yet they trying to unite people in Christ. Give me a break. Christ said, no love have a man than to give his life for his brother. Brotherhood is the greatest commandment after obeying the Most High. But yet IUIC and this purple LGBT crew, they beating the hell out of each other, man, breaking each other's arms and hitting each other with pistol whipping each other, man. That's how they rolling. That's how they rolling. But this brother stood strong. He was one West. He was one West. He said he ain't going to do this. Now he's 90 years old. He ain't going to do this so that young men can think that he didn't fail weak and left the Most High. 25. And okay, I read that. And 25 again. And so they, through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me and get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable. Now, that's all he going to be remembered for. Oh, Eleazar fell weak, man. He fell weak, man, and joined the heathen, man, and left the Most High. He's shameful. He's a traitor. He ain't want to be known as no traitor. You understand? 26. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men. Salakia. 26. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men. He said, if he did make people think he eating this pork, he might live longer and not be killed by these heathen men. He said, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Eleazar understood something. He understood that if you live pleasing the heathen, the Most High going to destroy you anyway. So you trying to escape death because the heathen is threatening you with death. Eleazar understood that to live for the heathen is death anyway. So it's better to let the heathen take your flesh and kill you and die by their hands, and the Most High raise you up a warrior and please the Most High. It's better that death before dishonor. You understand? He said he ain't going to escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive or dead. And this was thousands and thousands of years ago. This is before the New Testament. We always understood that death is not final. And that the Most High can destroy your body and your soul in hell, man. Like the New Testament says. Brothers already knew that. Brothers already knew that. You understand? 27. Wherefore now, manfully changing this life, I will show myself such an one as mine age requireth. He gonna show that no matter how old you is, stand with the Most High. 28. And leave a notable example to such as be young, to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. God damn right. Give Eleazar a hand. I love this brother, man. I love this brother. He is one West. You understand? He is no coward. He'd rather die than to dishonor himself and this nation, man. and be on the bad side of the Most High. You understand? He said, 29, where am I? Salaki, 28. Again, and leave a notable example to such as be young, to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he said these words, immediately he went into torment. The heathen went crazy and started attacking him and beating him and harming him. 29. They that led him, changing the goodwill, they bear him a little before into hatred. Like they was just trying to be kind to him and spare him. It said now they showed they full out hatred. So meaning they never loved him. They never loved him or respected him. Just like the heathen do today. They make you think they support you and that they're kind to you and you think they're kind. No. If you don't let them control you and obey you, they'll show you the hatred they got, just like these heathens did. So all that good kindness, the scriptures say, it turned into hatred. Reading on, the middle of 29. Because the foresaid speeches proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord, meaning made known. The Lord knows that has the holy knowledge that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things because I fear him. Although he was still alive, he's saying he's being beat halfway to death. You understand? But he suffered these things happily because he feared the Most High. 31. And thus the man died. They beat him to death. And eventually he died. It said 31. And thus the man died, leaving his death for an example of a notable courage. No cowards in one Westport. No, this is the spirit of Christ. This is the spirit of the Most High. This is the spirit of the ISUPK. And a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. That was a hell of a brother, man. He was a martyr. And this death showed men, all men in the nation, which way to go. Choose death before dishonoring the Most High. Choose death, man. It's better because you will be risen again. And the Lord will avenge you. And you'll have your revenge too. You'll have your revenge too. It's 117. So I'm going to end it there. Another great example. Y'all read 2 Maccabees 7:1, man, about them 7 sons of this strong mother, man, how they resisted eating pork and eating swine and resisted leaving the laws of the Most High all the way unto death. And they killed these brothers, all 7 of them, one by one. And last but not least, they killed the mother, man, because all of them stood strong for the Most High, even in the face of death. And that's how it's done. That's how it's done. Them pussies in the IUIC, they not built like this. Them punks in the Candy Cane organization with the comforter who the Lord killed, they not built like this. They not built like Eleazar. They not built like the ISUPK. You understand? And that's that. And that's that, man. Once again, join us tomorrow. We going down to Chicago to blaze it up. Some brothers already there. Some sisters already there. But tomorrow we going to get it on. They're going to have a breakfast and sit tomorrow morning, 10 to 12 in the Chicago school. They're going to be getting it in while playing the episode of Aytp the Prophets from yours truly. Barakatha Howard, the Water Captain Mawaquad, Kabawad, and all you brothers down there, man. And so after that, tomorrow night, General Muhammad going to rock his class out. I think it's from 6 to 10, I believe, General Muhammad's class in Chicago. Because they about an hour behind or ahead of us, you know, the time, the hour thing. So General Muhammad gonna rock his class out Friday. I think in Chicago they having they having that event where it's an area in the park down in Chicago, the Bantu Festival, I believe, and they're gonna be getting it. And check the itinerary. And then Friday night, everybody should come out to support. Commander General Yohana is having a lecture on World War III tomorrow night. Friday night. You understand? Saturday, I think that might be the Bantu Festival, I believe. Check the itinerary. Don't quote me on the festivals, but definitely General Hyman's class tomorrow night, Commander General Yohana's lecture on World War III Friday night. I think Saturday is the Bantu Festival. Sunday is the Midwest Cookout. And I think that's going to finish everything off. But we're going to be getting it in all weekend, man. So with that, the water to y'all for sticking around, man. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all next week. Lord willing, I'll see y'all next week for another episode of Aytp the Prophets. Yahweh Shemal Shabrakathum, Yahweh Shemal Thun.